just like went into this hole, and we're glued to the TV, we're glued to our phones, we're just like so passionately wanting to be involved. Like you were saying, like everyone's just like, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? Mm-hmm. And I'm actually pregnant right now. So that was like, yeah.
Wait, does anyone know that?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. Congratulations.
Yeah. But thank you. But it added this other layer of like, Jesus, I can't let this be, I have to do this for my son. And yes. I have to change myself. I have to look at myself. I have to look in the mirror. My husband has to do the same. We have to look at each other. Yep. We have to look at our white families and talk to them. Like, we have to do something so that when he's here, by the way, we're still going to be working on this and learning about it.
Yep.
But when he gets here, and when I'm already like trying to teach him. I'm already talking to my belly about this.
Yeah. Yes. It's so interesting. The same thing happened to my best friend. She had a daughter, and that's what woke her up too. She was like, I need to be an example for my daughter. I need to try and change the world how it's best I can for my little girl. And I consider my friend's daughter my niece. Like, she makes it a point that like I see her often, because by age 3, kids are making sense of race. Oh, by age 3, kids understand that it's in this country it's better to have white skin than dark skin.
The doll test video. Ugh. Anyone who has that video needs to watch it.
You need to watch it. It just goes to show it's never too early. Talk to your belly, girl. It is never too early.
We absorb everything. And when I watched that doll test video, the first thought I had was, I don't know if I would have done anything different. I don't know. I absolutely would have said the same things that those kids did.
Yes. I have to have a talk with my niece, my cousin's daughter. We have to talk to her about, you're a pretty brown girl. Because she has started saying things, and she's 3. She started saying things like, I like my white dolls better. I don't like my black dolls. And we're like, where is that coming from? We're a family of Africans. You're mostly around African people, but she goes to an international school in Ghana. And a lot of her friends are mixed or white, because it's a kind of a, but not high end. What do you call it? It's, what's the word for like elite? I don't know. Kind of like an elite school. So it's a lot of foreign people, a lot of Lebanese, a lot of Europeans, and there aren't too many dark-skinned brown girls in the class like her. And so by already we're having to talk to her about loving your black skin at 3. She wants the Elsa doll. She doesn't want the brown dolls.
Ugh.
It's heartbreaking, but as long as racism exists, we have work to do.
Yeah. And I do feel like, I think that also racism has created, like you were saying, it's so abnormal for everyone involved, including the people that are conditioned, the white people that are fooled into thinking that they're superior. It created this massive mental health crisis.
You know what? I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said it has created a mental health crisis, because I desperately needed a therapist when I was younger. Desperately needed to talk to somebody about what my mind was going through, what I was going through about my relationship with my blackness.
Yeah, your identity.
Literally, I mean, it's why right now I'm doing racial identity coaching, because I'm realizing that for me it was confusing, because I would look at myself in the mirror and I would like what I saw, but like just moving out through the world, I didn't feel comfortable. Like people staring at you, and it makes you so subconscious. It's like, is my hair okay? My dress okay? My walk, my talk? Why are these white people just staring at me all the time? And even for white people now, like what you're going through, it's, coming to terms with the fact that you've been complacent and not done anything, or thinking about, okay, who am I without whiteness, if you took my race away, who are you? Are you Toni Morrison said that. Who are you without your whiteness? Are you good? Are you still good?
Down on your pillow at night and feel good about how you treated people and what you did that day.
Yep.
It's that simple.
And you know what? It's I appreciate you saying that you came into the game late, but you know, Melissa, she's a middle-aged white woman. I won't say her age, but she's a middle-aged. She could literally be my mother, and I'm 33. So she taught in inner city schools in the 80s. She even started her own anti-racism group back in the 80s. And she said that she didn't actually wake up until Starbucks.
Wow.
She didn't realize that she was actually performing white saviorism. She thought that she was like, her presence was literally helping these black and brown kids.
Yeah. Like almost an assimilationist attitude.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, and I'm black, and I didn't start to look into these things until a few years ago. I'm black, and I didn't want to look at it because I knew that once I did that, my relationships were going to change. I lost my best friend, one of my best friends of 26 years after I became an activist. Wow. He doesn't talk to me anymore. And to me, nothing is different about me. I'm literally the same clumsy, goofy, whatever, Michelle, I mean, like, crazy, whatever. I'm the same. I just talk about race a little bit more. I just talk about my experiences that I don't think she understood. I think it was just too much for her. She didn't see me as black until I actually started talking about the things that have been going on. And
that's so dangerous, too. Like, that kind of colorblindness, that's a thing that we just have to, we can't do that right now.
We can't do it. I want you to see my color.
Yeah. We should be looking at every culture, every skin color. We should be looking at how everything intersects in terms of gender, in terms of like a queer space, in terms of like, we need to be looking at everything and honoring all of it and respecting all of it and educating ourselves about all of it.
All of it. Because,
by the way, that's only going to enrich us as a humanity as a whole.
I mean, look at your experience. You went from Colorado to New York, where it's incredibly diverse, and you loved it. I mean, diversity is a beautiful thing. Like, I love. I mean, I've been quite a few places. I've been to Spain, Costa Rica, Canada, Ghana, the UK, the islands. I wish people embraced more where they came from, and brought that culture with them, because what white people I think sometimes forget is that when they came to this country, they weren't immediately accepted. If you weren't from England, you weren't immediately accepted. If you were Irish, if you were Italian, some Italians were lynched.
Yeah.
They were treated like black people. You had to give up part of your culture. Wherever you came from in Europe, you had to literally give up all of your culture just to enter this exclusive white club and get the same treatment as the English people. Yeah. You had to leave part of your identity behind.
Yeah. You had to assimilate to what white European men thought were.
Yes, you had to assimilate. We, unfortunately, we can try our best to assimilate, but we can't do it because the skin color that's the barrier. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes I wish that way people would maybe do a little bit more research. Like, where are your ancestors from? Check that out. Like, that's super cool. Please go learn that and learn what they ate so I can come over and eat your food, because I like eating food from other places. Like, you know, that's cool. And America always talks about being prideful of being this melting pot, but we've never actually accepted people from other places. No. It's like, you can come from somewhere else as long as you assimilate.
Yeah.
And now, you know?
Yeah, because white body is what America has defined as the body of America.
That is what they wanted. They almost wiped out an entire race culture of people, and then they brought over another race culture of people to literally build their wealth. Yeah. Like, I'm just gonna this. Like, you have to talk about it how it was. The founding fathers were literal white supremacists.
Absolutely.
They all owned slaves.
Did you see that video of the guy in Costco not wanting to wear a mask, and his shirt literally says something like, in power since 1776.
Yes. What? Like, and I guarantee you, if you said you're racist, he would be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Oh, because that's all racism is. When you are a racist, all you're going to do is deny it.
Totally. I would rather you just be like, yeah, I don't like black people. I'd be like, thank you for telling me that so I can avoid you.
Yeah.
The problem is they don't want to admit it, and that is what is so it's so scary, you know. Michelle, it's not the white guys that are bald with tattoos walking on the street. It's not them.
No.
It's the baristas. It's the white girl walking her dog. It's the guy in Costco with the weird shirt. You're not know what that shirt means. It's everyday, normal looking people. That's why we take an approach from an individual standpoint, because our systems are made up of individual people.
Right.
We're not trying to go for the very top. We're trying to get to individual people who make decisions every single day. I want to make sure that my doctor doesn't have some weird ass myth that black people can handle pain more, which is still a thing.
That's still, like, have you experienced that?
I haven't, but my sister has.
Oh my God.
My brother has. My brother is a nurse, and unfortunately for these nurses at the Hershey Med Center, they didn't know he was a nurse, and he knew for a fact that he was being straight up neglected. Like, he knew that. My brother pulled out his own IV and walked out of the hospital. He literally pulled it out and walked out. Because he was being straight up neglected. He was like, I'm a nurse. I know what's going on here.
I mean, that's been very much on my mind, because also the statistics with pregnant black women, that they're more likely, 3 times more likely to die in childbirth or from pregnancy-related issues. Like, I can't even fathom.
Oh, my boyfriend he was like, if you get pregnant, I want you to have a baby at home. Because his family has gone through some things. His mother has gone through some things that they do not trust the medical system here in this country. They tried to literally take out her uterus before she ever had her kids. He literally wouldn't exist. And then she went to a different hospital, and they were like, we don't know why they told you had to have an emergency hysterectomy. You don't have to do that. And she went on to have 3 healthy boys. And so, and they were African. They didn't really understand what's going on, but they had an inkling. They were like, something feels really off here. That's racism.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to take someone's uterus? Like, what are you going to do with it? Another Henrietta Lacks situation where why do you want someone's uterus so bad? It's weird. There was, we posted a story, actually it was probably close to 2 years ago, of this physician's assistant in Houston, Texas, who ended up getting fired. Somehow his text messages were exposed, and he was like saying the most racist things. He had anti-Semitic comments, he had anti-black comments, and he literally said, "That's just locker room talk." All my doctors, we all talk like that. You think someone like him that's taking care of black people and Jewish people or Hispanic people is going to be giving them the same care and treatment? Absolutely not. No. It's terrifying. You have no idea. I mean, it almost, like, honestly, sometimes it makes us, I think, be kind of unnecessarily overly nice to people, because you don't know how they feel about you. And sometimes it's just so shitty when you're like, I think I'm being extra nice to this white person because I don't know if they're racist or not. I don't want to do that. Sometimes I just, sometimes I don't feel like being extra nice. Sometimes I just want to be normal nice. And or just normal, but you feel
just
like,
be who you are without having to think about it.
Right. And it's like, and to be honest, now that I think about it, if we have to do that, we probably have some kind of vibration happening that makes you feel like I need to be extra nice in this situation because I don't know if this person likes me because of my skin color. There's a clear vibe. Like, I can tell when someone's looking at me because, especially if it's a white male. If it's an older white male, I know whether he's looking at me because he's like interested in me, or he's just curious, or he doesn't like me, or I know this sounds fucked up, but sometimes I'm like, oh my God, if this was 1700, you would own me. Like, you can, you get those feelings, you get those weird stares, those weird looks, those weird, like, why are you looking at me in such an animalistic type of way? Just happened to me 2 weeks ago. I was walking into a post office. This guy sitting in his car, he would not take his eyes off of me. And I was so tired of it that I literally did not take my eyes off of him. And it was so weird. I just held his gaze for like 10 seconds. I was like...
And he didn't look away? Wow.
He did not look away. And in those moments, you don't know what it is. And when you experience that your entire life, sometimes you just, Melissa and I do a live every Monday, and some kid yesterday was like, well, Black people resist arrest, and that's why they get, that's why they get arrested. Yeah, and I'm like, do you have any idea what it's like to constantly be targeted? Like, do you think that if you were getting arrested for something that you didn't do, or something super minor, and you knew that your rights were being infringed, do you think that you would just stand there and be like, all right, I guess take me to jail?
Mm-hmm.
No.
No, and by the way, white people do, and they run away from the cops and nothing happens to them.
Exactly. Actually, very good point. They actually do that. They do resist, and the cops are like, can you please calm down? Can you please...
They get in cop cars and steal the cop car. And
I've seen that.
There, like, that's...
A few weeks before George Floyd, we saw groups of white men with AK-47s or AR-15s storming Capitol buildings because they wanted to get their damn haircut. What happened to them? They had loaded guns.
Yep.
That's not a threat? That's not scary to you?
I don't even remember police officers being in those buildings in Michigan. I don't remember seeing them in the footage.
That's a good point. I don't know. This is the reality of America. It's two different Americas. It's anyone watching this, please watch 13th on Netflix if you have not done so yet. Have you done it? So actually 15 minutes in, I had to pause it and I just sobbed.
Yeah, it's hard.
So much as 15 minutes in, I was like, I didn't learn about any of this I was like 27 until I watched it.
Yeah.
Maybe even later. And I was older. Actually, I think I was close to 30. And I remember being like, what?
Yeah.
How did I know any of this? How did I not know that police used to be slave patrol and slave catchers? How did I not know that? Like, people need to understand that what we mean by racism is innovative is that back in the day, the police were protecting white wealth. They were protecting plantation owners. They were protecting their property. If their property ran away, they went and retrieved their property to bring them back to the plantation to work. Now it's 2020, and the majority of people in jail are Black people. And, are you still there?
Okay, sorry.
It's all right. The majority of people in jail are Black people. And then I found out a few years ago that a lot of corporations use prison labor, which I
yeah, a lot of corporations that I realized that I purchased from.
I know. I know. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I found out that Estee Lauder and, like, who owns, like, MAC and all these things are, like, giant Trump supporters. And I'm like, oh no. I love lipstick. Love lipstick. What am I going to do? But to your point, it's like those everyday moments, those moment-to-moment decisions.
Split-second decisions. And I've actually, you know what? I mean, and also in terms, to go back to talking about it being a mental health crisis, I did like sort of go through this weird depression after I feel like my eyes were opened, but it didn't feel like a clinical depression would.
Right.
It felt productive.
Right.
And it felt, yes, I felt those feelings of shame. And yes, I had to combat my white fragility. And yes, I had to, like, really look at myself in the mirror and, like, kind of take stock of my entire life. And every decision I've made up to now, and people I've hurt with my fragility, and talk to people I've hurt with my fragility, talk to my family and confront them. But all of that, almost, in a weird way, feels like self-care right now.
Yes. Yeah, because it's personal development.
Yeah, it's growth.
It's growth.
Who doesn't want to grow and be a better human being? Like, that's what I don't understand about denying. If someone calls you out as racist, I feel like white people are a lot of times just so offended because that's basically someone saying they don't like you.
It's the worst thing I think it's like one of the worst things for a white person to be called. The worst thing for them to be called is racist. But I understand that.
Yeah, totally. But instead of getting defensive and immediately going to the attack and be like, no, I'm not racist. I'm a good person. You can be a good person and be a racist.
Yes, you can. I have a lot of friends that growing up, when I think they were bad people, absolutely not.
No.
Were they racist? Yeah. Like, when it came down to it, they would say some racist things, and I would be like, yo, that is incredibly racist. Like, my friend that I'm no longer friends with, is she a bad person? Absolutely not. Mm-hmm. Does she have a lot of racial biases? 1,000%. The fact that we are no longer friends, all because I talk about racism, that's the epitome of fragility. You can't even talk about it. Yeah. You would rather, and it's been over 2 years. So where is the growth there? Why can't we talk? Like, and if you want to talk about race, right? Like, having uncomfortable conversations, like learning how to have race, which is a very uncomfortable conversation for a lot of people. You learn how to do that. You learn how to have the conversations. That's just going to build your muscles for having uncomfortable conversations in other areas of your life. Mm-hmm. If you can't talk about this, what else are you purposely not talking about? What else are you trying to sweep under the rug and pretend isn't there? Yep. This is personal development. Yes. On a different level that we have not experienced before. No. I'm so happy you brought that up.
A complete redefinition of our consciousness right now.
Yes.
As a country and a society.
Yes. We have never had this reckoning. And actually, it's us that are having the reckoning. It's the people that are having the reckoning. The people at the top are still not trying to have the reckoning. Like they're kind of getting there, but
even when they're acting like they are, yeah. Even when they're acting like they are, they're not.
No, like I saw them recently. The whole bunch of people did like they kneeled, and they're wearing kente cloth, and the kente cloth is a very traditional Ghanaian cloth.
Pelosi was wearing one.
Yeah, I was like, get my cloth off your neck if you're not gonna, if you're not going to end qualified immunity and tear down private prisons and like if you're not gonna do these things, this is just performative. This is exactly. That's what you call performative allyship.
Yep, and that's the other thing too that I think a lot of white people need to realize, and that I took even me a bit of time to realize too, is that doing the work, and I know everyone has seen that. I know everyone has seen you have to do the work. Yep. It requires you. There is so much out there.
So much information. Since enslaved Africans learned how to read and write, mind you, secretively, because they weren't allowed to learn how to read and write, they've been telling their story. Mm-hmm. They've been talking about their experiences. They've been talking about racism. Like, I think pretty much everybody loves reggae. There's so much talk about racism and injustice in reggae. Oh, and I don't think people have any idea.
No.
Like, there's so much information. And sometimes every once in a while I get frustrated. I've had a lot of people, I've had people come into my DMs and say things like, will you please record a video of this, how you've experienced racism so I can put it on my page? And I'm like, no.
Why?
Girl, I don't know. And I'm like, there's so many stories out there. There's so many stories for you to choose from. And you're coming into a random Black person's DM and asking them to recall a traumatic experience for your page. For your page. And who's going to get the credit for that? Not me. Not me. But again, it goes back to that eagerness. And I think it's also what you said about mental health and personal growth. That's where the hard work is. The hard work is actually looking within yourself. It's easy to look at someone, not easy, but it's easy to look at someone else's pain. Well, let me just go grab some terrible stories and make a page and whatever. That's not hard.
No.
It is much harder to look at yourself and say, where have I been complicit? Where have I messed up? Where do I need to do the work? Where can I grow? Making a page about that's not growth. How is that growth? I did my senior project.
solving yourself.
Exactly. I did my senior project in high school on the Holocaust. And I thought I was like a great person because I was talking about the suffering of Jewish people. But I realized that, like, after that, I didn't research anti-Semitism.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't learn about the ways that it was still happening today. I just did my project and thought that I was like, well, back then we didn't use the word woke, but I thought I was like a really great person that I did this. It didn't make me a good person. What did I do after that? Literally nothing. It was a one-time deal.
Yeah.
And this work is constant. It's constant. I mean, I've been researching a lot about racial identity development with white people and black people, and that's what I'm literally coaching people on right now. And you can go in and out of stages. You can be really far ahead one day and something happens to you and you get really fragile one day and take 5 steps back.
Yeah.
Just like anything else in life.
Yep. All it takes is you saying something to someone and not clicking in your head. Oh, that was...
Melissa and I still, like, Melissa says that sometimes she still has thoughts. I still have thoughts. Again, because I grew up with white people, I spent more of my life immersed in white culture than I did out of white culture.
Yeah.
I can't pretend like any of that is not still living within me.
Of course not.
Like, I used to be an assimilationist.
I just finished reading Ibram Kendi's book, How to Be an Anti-Racist. Mm-hmm. In the middle of his stamp from the beginning right now, and he's so thorough. He's
oh my god,
thorough. And How to Be an Anti-Racist, one of the biggest takeaways I had. I mean, it's a beautiful book, and especially everyone should read it. And the last 3 chapters I felt were so moving. I could not put the book down. It's all important, but you get to the end, the way he wraps it up, it's very moving. But one of the biggest takeaways I had, and this analogy he used I felt was so poignant, was that racism is a cancer in our bodies. And to be an anti-racist, you have to locate it, do the x-rays, figure out where it is.
Yes.
You have to go through the chemotherapy. You have to treat it, and it's not going to be fun, and it's not going to be easy. It will be very painful.
Yep.
It's going to suck.
Yep.
Times, and then other times you're going to have great victories and feel a lot of hope. It's a roller coaster, and you have to eradicate it. You have to eradicate it from your body, physically.
I love that you said that, physically, because, like I said, when I watched the reaction from people going through fragility, like the barista, when I asked her why she did that, and her immediate physical response was to turn bright red
and then dismiss.
Think about that. I'm like, that's, like you said, that was, I mean, it was like the racism was like coming out of her chest and coming out of her face. It was just redness, and she was so uncomfortable. And like, I mean, I don't know what was going through her mind at that moment. I do know later on that they said that actually who was the CEO was Howard Schultz. Mm-hmm. He talked to her personally, and he said that he asked her would she have called the cops if the guys were white, and she said no. So she clearly knew to some degree. But look at what that did to her. Look at how racism. How did it serve you?
Yeah.
Now the country not the country, but now you have millions of people who think you're a terrible human being. And I mean, the fact that you admitted that, which you're not a good human being, but all the people that get exposed for their racism, it ruins their lives.
Yeah. Just
like cancer ruins your life.
Yep. Yeah.
And how can you
imagine before it's stage 4? Like,
we are at stage 4, and if we do not fix this, I am so scared of. I'm just scared of what is to come. You know, they always say things are going to get worse before they get better, and I don't know how it could get much worse. Besides more violence, before more people, besides more people dying. And if we don't get a handle on this, I mean, to be honest, I'm going to Ghana when the borders open.
I feel that too. I feel that fear. And by the way, my friend who kind of ushered me into this awakening, he left. He's not in right now. Yeah. He was like, I'm scared. He's like, who's to say it's not going to be me? And so he went, I don't want to say where, well, actually, he's posting a lot about it. He's in Mexico, but.
Yeah. Right. It's true, though. I mean, like, when my brother had to call the cops recently, he said, my brother is a tall man. He's, like, almost 6 foot. He's, like, 220 pounds, but he's an absolute teddy bear. And he calls the cops and he says, I'm a black male that's calling. Yeah. He has to tell them first who he is. So when they show up, they're not confused about who is the person that needs to be handled or controlled. Like, when he doesn't answer my text messages, I get so upset. When he doesn't answer my call, I get so mad at him. He's like, what do you mean I'm fine? I'm like, I don't know that you're fine. Mm-hmm. He's my favorite person on the planet. If anything happens to him, I'm so sorry. The world will end. Like, the world will end if anything happens to he's 30, but he's my baby brother. And, like, you know, my man, where, you know, as soon as the borders open, he's out. He's out, you know, and doing this work, I think to myself, I think it would be easier for me to do this maybe if I wasn't also immersed in this energy that's racism, you know, like, we were just grocery shopping the other day, gets in the car and his mood's a little off, and he was like, I just hate racists. I was like, what just happened? What just happened? And he was like, you know the look. You know? And for people that say, well, you know, how do you know? Because we were just at a restaurant today, right before I got on this live. Everyone in there was white. No, there was one of the chefs was Asian, but everyone else was white. And they were so freaking cool and just like you didn't think about race at all because everyone was being super normal and talking to everybody, and it was just a super cool vibe. You just know the vibe. Like, you can just feel it, you know, like you just know. And I just hope that, you know, white people really do that work and understand that you have been manipulated and lied to.
Yes.
You should be just as pissed off to realize that you have been manipulated and lied to believe this bullshit that race is real, because it was literally, you know, you're listening to Stamps. It was literally created to keep us divided.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I don't know what's more beautiful than being in a room full of people of different cultures and different colors. Like,
I agree with you.
I think it's so cool. I think it's cool to go to a different country and experience their culture and just be immersed in that. And how is it that you don't want to experience that?
I know. I don't know. I don't understand that either. And I think it's also important to realize that, like, you can strongly disagree with that man in the White House and what he stands for and his overt racism, while also strongly denying that you have it in yourself. And
yes,
you're willing to really acknowledge that it's in you, and like we're talking about the look in the mirror, you're gonna miss out on that, on what you're talking about that is so beautiful, the diversity and multiculturalism and appreciating different cuisines and where different people come from and their customs. And we have so much to learn from each other that is good.
Yes. That
we're missing out on when we are stuck in behind in these like cages of being manipulated.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, like, they don't want us having this conversation right now. Mm-hmm. They don't want that. Like, if this was back in the day, if this was, you know, 1700, we were having this conversation, they would make it a law that a black person and a white person can no longer be on a live together. Because every step of the way, what people need to understand is that there were white people that tried to speak out against racism. There were people that tried to end it, and every single time they tried to do it, the founding fathers would enact a different law or policy to incentivize people to not work together.
And that's the problem, is that it's all stemming from policy. It's not stemming from, like you were saying, looking at people as individuals and not defining them by their race. It's and that's kind of like another way that I've tried to be governing myself. I feel like I have to apologize also, because I feel like I have major baby brain right now.
I didn't realize that was a thing. So like a bunch of my friends, I'd be like, "Well, what is wrong with you?"
I did not think that I was ever going to experience it, because usually I feel like I'm pretty on top of things and I'm like a super organized person, and then all of a sudden, like, I'll be in the middle of a sentence and then it's gone. But I was going to say, like, in my day-to-day life, in those like second-to-second moments where you're making the decisions, or you're thinking about a thought you just had, or you're having these kinds of conversations, like, it is the way you govern yourself. We need to be like very, very extremely baby brain critical of our policy makers. We need to be educated on who they are, what they stand for, what they're going to do. And then we need to do that for ourselves. We have to, every second, we're governing ourselves as human beings, as individuals. Each decision is a policy that we're enacting in our life.
There's a book, if any of the followers are interested in reading, it's called Dying of Whiteness. I just started reading it. I'm like on like chapter 2. And it talks about how our policymakers literally manipulate white people to vote against their own interests.
Yeah.
And it's written by a white man who's a doctor who watches patients die because they have this false narrative, this lie that resources are going to go to Mexicans, or they're going to go to welfare queens, or they're going to go to people. Tennessee, the state of Tennessee, voted a certain. I don't know how they voted, but whoever they chose to govern their state lowered everybody's life expectancy in the entire state.
Yeah,
it lowered.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? That's crazy.
Because the only people that benefit from those kinds of racist policies are the ones creating them. Because they're making their own self-interest, money and power and big houses. And the fact that, like, I don't know the exact percentages, but what is it, like, the majority of the wealth in the world belongs to the top 1%.
I think it's like the 300 wealthiest people, 300 in the world, I think. Someone just told me this today. Own the majority of the wealth in the entire world.
Yep.
I'm like, how is that possible? And it is so interesting. I can't wait to get through the rest of this book.
What's it called again?
Dying of Whiteness.
Dying of Whiteness.
Because what these politicians do is they use coded language as actually very racist language. They just don't say I'm being racist. Yeah. They just use coded racial words that are associated with certain groups of people. Black people, Native people, Mexicans, Hispanics. And it makes white people think that, well, I can't have money going to them, but you're taking money from yourself. And Lyndon B. Johnson, actually, back in the 70s or 60s, I think in the 60s, actually, you can look it up on Snopes. He says something along the lines of, if you can convince the lowest or poorest white man to think he is above the lowest or poorest black man, you can take from him. And he was like, hell, he'll even empty his pockets for you.
Wow.
A president of the United States of America said this. Flat out. It was a real quote.
And it's so true, and we watch it happen now. Everyone that voted, that was so against the Affordable Care Act, and so many people that were, all the horrid pictures that you see of people screaming at young black girls going to school for the first time in an integrated school. Like, people were so against that. And then when things actually work, I feel like, and people realize that those policies, the anti-racist policies that end up working, like school integration, which still, I mean, has its problems, but people ended up supporting the idea.
Right.
Exponentially so, because they realized that it was good.
Right. Your kid grows up to be less of an asshole when he's around other kids that don't look like him. Like, that's good for his humanity. It's good for his development. It's good for his career when he's older, and he can. I mean, this is the fact. The country is getting more diverse. I think they say like minute by minute. Well, yeah. Maybe not much, because the person in the White House is trying to stop immigration from other certain countries. But people are mixing. People are in interracial relationships. Like, it's happening. It's, we're only the minority in this country. Black and brown people are the majority globally.
Yeah.
Yet we're not enslaving people. We're just trying to live our lives. Yeah. All we're trying to do is like live and let live. But people need to understand that racism is, for the beginning, it's been about money.
Yeah.
They know.
It was always a transaction.
Always. They know that there's something different about me. They know that. But they would make up things along the way, like saying the size of a white person's brain makes them smarter. Like, it's the weirdest shit. Or like just crazy things to justify what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
But there were always white people along the way that said, something feels really off about this. Something feels really wrong about this. And they were like, oh, no, it's fine. They're not total humans. And they're doing the same thing today when they say, when people are like, something seems off about this. And they're like, oh, no, white people are just more violent. Or, I'm sorry, black people are just more violent than other people. No. But that's not the global black experience. You go to Africa, I feel more safe in Africa than I do here. And people think that it's such a violent place. I'm like, I literally feel more safe there. And I feel more scared in certain parts of Philly and Camden, New Jersey.
Yeah.
And you have to understand that, again, it's about control. It's about continuing to somehow profit off of black bodies, because when slavery ended, they were not trying to really have to do all that work. It literally turned into capitalism.
Yeah.
Like, that's what...
Or like racism and capitalism.
Think of plantation owners as corporations. When you drive past a prison, think of it as a plantation.
Yes.
That's what we have to understand, that even though Black Lives Matter is not, my life mattering is not political, it shouldn't be political, but unfortunately is, in the sense that if we do not make smart voting decisions, people are going to keep dying.
Mm-hmm. Now is the time where we cannot afford to not be informed.
What other books have you read? You read Stamped?
Stamped at the Middle of Now, and I read How to Be an Anti-Racist.
You read Malcolm X?
Uh-huh. I've read... It's long.
Yeah.
Big. And then I've read before, which I want to reread, a lot of James Baldwin, but my favorite is The Fire Next Time. I remember reading that and really just loving it.
The Fire Next Time? Who's that by?
James Baldwin.
Oh, the Fire Next Time. I've only read a few of his things. I get very emotional when I read his work. I have to be in a very specific emotional place to read certain things.
He's so poetic about it.
He's so poetic. Like, I read recently, I didn't know his father actually was like a very sad man, mm-hmm. because apparently like his father believed what white people had to say about black people, that internalized racism. He believed it. And I'm like, oh, I think I need to read more. Maybe that's what helped fuel James', I don't know, poetic magic. I don't know.
Yeah, that he had the wherewithal to understand that it wasn't, to understand, to love himself.
And to see what it could, like, what it can do to you. Even when, exactly, like, it really turns you against yourself. And I just really hope that what people are gaining from this conversation, that your voice is needed.
Mm-hmm.
Your voice is needed. And again, think about the fact that we just had the largest civil rights movement in history because white people showed up and showed up with us. We can literally, I mean, there were policy changes that happened immediately after that. There were police departments that were looking at things that they haven't looked at in 20 years.
Yeah. And it was enough, and we still have so much more to do.
So much more to do. But the fact that you could potentially be part of a movement that can change the world, should be really exciting.
Yeah.
Like, I want to change the world.
So do I. So do I. And I think that is such a beautiful sentiment that you just said. And it's so, of course, it's stressful and overwhelming to be alive in times like these, but at least you get to witness it. And at least you get to make the choice, like you just said, to be a part of it and to be a part of such a transformative time in history. Because we can't allow it to not be transformative. It has to be.
Yeah. Let's try to envision a world that's like truly post-racial. Let's try to envision a world where, let's try to actually like live out MLK's dream that you are judged by your character and not the color of your skin. But the only way to do that is to get uncomfortable and do that work and uncover your biases. Every single person, you have them. We live in a white supremacist world. It's where we are right now in the history of humanity. And we can turn it around.
Yep. Absolutely. I believe we can. I'm scared like you are, but about how bad it will get. But I do think ultimately, I want to believe that justice wins and that the right things happen.
I think it will. I mean, I've been tired over the past few weeks just from talking so much.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm making up for, 33 years of not being really able to talk before. So I'm super grateful that people want to talk about the conversation, want to have the conversation in the first place. I mean, people that I've known for years are reaching out to me saying, what books do you think that I should read? And I'm like, really? You? Okay. Like, all right. Like, I'm down, I don't mind being that person that someone comes to and says, what should I read first? But just know that there's a million resources out there. Melissa and I post literally every single day.
You guys you do really well curating your.
Thank you. It's a lot. We can easily be on social media for 4 hours a day, easily. Actually, I took my timer off of all my social media accounts because I'm like, I'm just on it, trying to scroll, trying to find things that will resonate with people and that people can digest and absorb and actually use and move forward. So we're with you. We're learning with you. I just started this journey myself a few years ago. So we are literally all in this together. And I want people to just keep up the momentum and rest when you need to. Take care of yourself. You don't have to think about racism like necessarily every single day or do something every single day. Well, I mean, okay, you do, but do not overexert yourself because this is going to be a lifelong journey until it ends.
Yep. And you have to be, you got to be aware every second.
Every second, be aware. When you see something, say something. And the more you educate yourself about systemic racism and what racism looks like today, the more you're going to be able to see it for what it is and call it out in the moment. But you can't call out something that you can't see.
Or that you don't understand.
So just keep educating yourself. Read White Fragility. Read Me and White Supremacy. Watch 13th.
1619 is a great podcast too.
1619. Listen to the Scene on Radio, Seeing White podcast series. That's incredible. I'm trying to think what else. Anything about James Baldwin. Read the Malcolm X autobiography. Read Letter from a Birmingham Jail from MLK. I mean, read Toni Morrison. Read Maya Angelou. Read just so many.
There's so much you have to do is Google. Just get on Google.
Get on the Googles. And let's just be in this together and, keep fighting and changing the world. And even if we don't live to see the end of this, which I don't know how that's going to play out, at least, you've done your part.
Yep.
and you try, and you can lay your head down at night and say, I tried to make humanity in our society better.
Yep. Yeah.
So, anyways, I could probably talk to you forever.
Likewise.
I looked up your birthday, and your birthday is October 4th, and mine's the 6th. So
Libra.
I love Libras. The two guys that I dated before my boyfriend both had the same birthday, but three days, and they were October 5th. And I'm like, I love myself.
I've actually never been with a Libra.
Sorry, they're cool. Cancers are cool. My boyfriend has a Cancer. He's cool too. But I just find that I never believed in that stuff before, but I do now find like an energy. So this has been one of my favorite conversations, one of my favorite lives that I've done so far. So I just want to thank you for jumping on here with me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I feel very grateful, and I could have talked to you forever too. And thank you for excusing my baby brain. I do feel like I want to talk to you again once I've had this child.
Yes.
Not doggy.
How many months along are you?
I'm in the 3rd trimester, so like weeks away. So close. So
weeks
close.
Away.
Yeah. It's crazy.
That's so exciting.
No, I can't wait. I just can't wait to meet him and teach him how to be an anti-racist.
Yes. Oh my God, that's so. Well, I tell everyone that I meet, and I tell them, like, listen, I am everyone that I meet, like all my friends, I'm like, I am the black auntie. So I'm the black auntie to all the kids. I just bought my friend's daughter like sneakers the other day. I haven't even seen her for weeks, but I'm so excited for your little one.
Thanks.
I wish you all the best luck through that entire process. I think it's the most. Sometimes I watch birthing videos for some reason, I just like cry. I think the birthing process is the most beautiful thing on the planet. So
great for doing that. I can't bring I'm so scared to do that.
Really? I don't know why I watch them, but I'm like, this is so amazing. This is so crazy. Like that you birth a human. I just think it's fantastic. So, oh my gosh, that's going to be so exciting for you.
I can't wait. And I'm so glad we got to do this. I'm grateful to you for all of your knowledge and for including me in this conversation that you guys are so eloquently having day in, day out.
Well, and very specifically, thank you for being an influencer and a celebrity who has a conversation. We've been trying to find who they are because historically there haven't been that many.
Which is, to me, is like inexcusable.
To be honest.
It's not, first of all, I think the word brand, like having a brand as a person, is such a weird idea.
Weird.
It's such a weird idea in the first place. And second of all, like how would being a part of this conversation ruin any kind of brand that you are?
Right. Like, I mean, it's cool to see that they're on board now, but like we've been trying to find people to have conversations with that could like, you know, use their platform and get the word out more. Haven't been so many. So thank you for being, to be honest, like one of the few.
Wow, that's so surprising. Well, I'm with you, and I always will be, and thanks for bearing with me while I am still stumbling through this. You know, happily so though.
Yeah. Well, reach out anytime you have any questions.
Thank you. I will.
Okay.
Mwah. That was so great.
I know. All right, girl. Have a beautiful evening with you and your husband and your baby boy. And
you too. You too. Enjoy being. You said you're with your man in Texas?
In Texas, yeah.
Well, go get some love.
I'm going to. It's his birthday tomorrow, so I will. All right. I'll talk to you later.
All right.
Bye.
That was oh my gosh, that was a long talk. That did not even feel like it was an hour and a half. So I guess I did my first line. And that was a great conversation. she's fucking awesome. All right, bye guys.